Hi everyone, welcome back. I guess we're going to be talking today. We're going to look more at different lines that are in a triangle. We're going to talk about medians and altitudes. Okay, so what are you going to learn today? You're going to learn what a median is, you're going to learn what an altitude is, and what their points of concurrency are, and of course, those characteristics. So, what's a median? A median is a segment from the vertex to an opposite side into that midpoint of the opposite side. So starting at this vertex to its opposite side and its midpoint. Okay, if I wanted to draw C in, if we say that's our midpoint, our median would be here. Okay, and B to our midpoint there. And that's just an estimate, but those are my three medians. Okay, this is always inside the triangle, and our centroid is our point of concurrency. Okay, so we call that a centroid. So you're going to have to know the vocabulary. Okay, the centroid is our center of gravity. So you can actually cut out a triangle of some sturdy piece of paper, find your centroids by constructing your medians, and this point right here, you can balance it on. So again, that's my centroid, okay? It is 2/3 the distance from each vertex to the midpoint. So from the vertex to a midpoint is 2/3 of the whole line. So DC is 2/3 of DJ. Okay. FC is 2/3 of FH. ED, that's not ED. Let's go with EC because ED is on the side. Is 2/3 of EG. Okay. It's always the case. Okay, characteristics that you're going to have to learn. If you need to put that on your flip card, put that in your flip book. So if I want to find the centroid of each triangle, so I want to draw a line from the median to the midpoint of the segment. So I've got this horizontal line, so it's easier to find my midpoint. So its distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my midpoint is going to be 2.5 units from one of the vertices. So my midpoint is going to be right there. And I'm going to draw, okay, it's hard to do with this, a straight line right to that midpoint. Okay. There are lots of other ways to find my other two midpoints. Okay. One of the ways that you could use is you could kind of look at a slope triangle. Okay. So we would go over 1 and up 3. So halfway between that would be over 1/2 and up 2.5. So there's an estimate of my midpoint. I'm just asking for estimates right now. On your homework, remember I said you're going to have to do some constructing. So you're going to have to review how to construct. So there is my midpoint there. From this point here, from point I to point H, it's over 6 and up 3. So I'm going to go over 3 and I'm going to go down 1.5 to find my midpoint there. And you can see that's a pretty good job estimating because it's going to go right through there. Okay, and there's my centroid. So if I had to estimate my centroid, I would say that, and that's what we're kind of doing here, it would be at -1, +1, and that's an estimate. Okay. Constructing, we could do a lot better. Okay. So now let's assume we got midpoints here. So if I know that bx is 8, so this is 8, okay, and I want to find by and xy. So we know that bx is 2/3 of by. Okay. So that would mean we could find it by just subbing in 8 for bx, okay, and then solving 2/3 by. So we would just multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 3/2. So 8 times 3/2 equals 2/3 times 3/2. So that would leave me with 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. So by is going to be 12. Okay. And then that would mean that xy is 4. That should make sense because in that whole length, okay, this is 4, and then half of that 8 is 4. So 4, 4, and 4 would be 2/3. So by is 12 and xy is 4. Okay. Now, an altitude is the perpendicular segment from the vertex to a side opposite. So I don't have to have a midpoint. I just have to have a perpendicular. So if I have a right triangle, my vertex to the side perpendicular is going to be my legs. Okay. And then from this vertex to here, here. And there's my point of concurrency, and we call that an orthocenter. Okay. If I go from the vertex here, and this is an acute triangle, down to a perpendicular, it's right about here, right about there. And then I'm off a little bit because I didn't go through that point of currency, but there. Okay, so this is on the triangle. This is inside. Now here's the tricky one. We can draw here my perpendicular. But if I'm going to go from my vertex to a perpendicular on this side here, so perpendicular from this vertex to this side, it's not going to happen. So what we have to do is we extend our side, and then we can draw our altitude. Okay. It's going to be the same thing here. If I'm going to go from here, okay, to a perpendicular of this side over here, I'm going to have to, so I'm going to go from this vertex to this side. I've got to extend that side as well. So what you're going to see if I extend those lines is that these are going to intersect someplace outside the triangle. And again, they should all intersect at one point. That wasn't drawn very well, and that's called the orthocenter. Okay. So I want to find the orthocenter if triangle ABC. So A is 1, 1. Let's see if I can graph this right today. 3, 4 is B, and 6, 1 is C. All right. So now if I want to draw in my altitudes, I'm going to use a different color for that. From B to AC is pretty easy because that's a horizontal line. So my my altitude is going to be right here. Okay. And now we're going to get a little particular. So I might want to draw this line in here a little bit better. Sometimes it's hard to do on the smartboard or on my tablet. So there's that line. So if I want to draw my perpendicular from C to side AB, there's lots of different ways we can do it. Okay, so we know that it's going to be perpendicular, so our slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. So my slope of AB is 1, 2, 3. So the rise is 3. The run is 2. So it's positive 3/2. So that would mean that the slope of my perpendicular to that is going to be negative 2/3 because they're opposite reciprocals. So if I start at 2 or C and I go up 2 and over 3, I'm going to have a point here. Let's change that color again. If I go up 2 and over 3, I'm going to be here. So now, I only went up 1. So up 2 and over 3. My perpendicular goes in through here, and I can't put a straight edge down on this. I'd like to see straight edges when you guys do your homework. So it looks like our point of concurrency is probably about 3, 3, and we can double check that. We can take our slope of BC, and that slope is 1, believe it or not, negative 1. Okay, if it was drawn in a little better. So the slope of our perpendicular is positive 1. So from C, I'm just going to go negative 1. Oh, duh. From A, I was losing it for a minute. So I'm just going to go over 1 and up 1, over 1 and up 1. And there's my perpendicular. And indeed, that point is actually 3, 3. All right, so let's we got a whole bunch of different lines. We have a median in triangle ABC. So the big triangle, what's a median? Remember, a median goes from the vertex to the midpoint of the other side. So our median is going to be CJ. Okay. And altitude for the big triangle ABC, we're going to be looking for that perpendicular. So here's my perpendicular. So that's going to be AH. Okay, and let's look at my smaller triangle now. Let's get rid of this color. Because now we're looking at triangle AHC, which is this smaller triangle. Okay, our median is going to go from the vertex to the opposite side, so that's going to be HI. Then our altitude, we have actually 2 that we can see on here because it's a right triangle, so both of our legs are going to be our altitude. So AH or CH would be our altitudes. Okay. So today we learned about altitudes and medians and their characteristics. I will see you in class. You guys have a really great day.